All right, everyone. Hello and welcome to episode 12 of Maxed Out Radio. I'm sorry, it's been a minute since I made one of these. I think it's been over a month. We have 3 questions to read today, and I also went and wrote a whole bunch of stuff in a notepad that I wanted to talk about. So hopefully today is a little bit more scripted and structured than the previous episodes have been. I'm getting better and better as I do this, but it is, of course, I'm kind of a noob when it comes to making podcasts, so I struggle a little bit here and there. Okay, let's get right into the comments. We're not going to waste any time. I think we had 3 today. I decided not to do it on Instagram and X because I just didn't get that many the last time I did that. Anyways, let's just start this right off. Ultra Car Things. Do you ever meticulously plan a story, but as soon as you sit down to turn your plan into action, you end up changing things drastically? Personally, my creative process always starts with an outline, but when I sit down and start to turn the outline into a story, my mind wanders and the story deviates from what I originally planned. Funny how characters just sort of do what they want. In certain aspects, yes and no. I think usually when I'm drafting a chapter for Maxed Out, so I've pretty much written most of the story already. So I'd say like 75 to 80% of it is already finished. And as I go into a chapter, I already have the outline of what's going to happen. So, chapters 1, 2, and 3 that are already out was already that case. I already knew what I was going to write about. But then I decided to redo it, and I'm going to talk about that later in this episode. So I'll dive more into that aspect of things later on. But essentially the thing is, as I become a better writer, I feel like this happens with a lot of people, you tend to understand your characters more, so it makes you want to change things. So usually when I'm storyboarding or writing the manga itself, it's like I have the outline of what I want to happen, and then you start putting it down, and maybe only it slightly changes from what I put down. So the actual structure of the story stays the same. The events that happen usually stay the same. The only thing that really changes is the dialogue of what the characters are saying. That's what I find what changes the most with me. So usually over the course of several weeks, because you're staring at the same panels and just same pages over and over again, I tend to notice things more as time goes on, like, okay, maybe they should have said this over here instead of that. But very rarely is it ever like I'm going to scrap this entire scenario and something different needs to happen. I don't think I've had that happen yet, because I usually catch those things before the storyboard portion of the chapter actually gets put down. So, I think it just comes from understanding your characters more. You tend, like, when I made the first 3 chapters, I had a rough idea of what the characters were like, and now that I've redone the manga, like, I really understand the characters now. I understand the things they're going to say and how they react to certain situations, and of course, I'm going to get into it later, like I said, but I'm more aware of that now, so it's easier to create chapters that way. Did I miss anything in that question? I don't think so. I think I got all of that. So yeah, I would say the story has not deviated too much from what I originally planned. I intentionally wrote it without an ending so that it could go on for a very, very long time. But I do have, like, I'm going to use the word act, like in film with different acts. I have different acts or arcs, whatever you want to call it, set out for this series so that I can keep it going for many, many, many years. All right. I don't know how to say it. Ibuprofen? Is that supposed to be like a pun on ibuprofen or something? Hi, I rediscovered your channel after watching the 6-month guitar progress video. That's a throwback. That is definitely a throwback. It's so funny to watch that video back, how much I've improved since then. I'm shocked how you managed to do music, manga, and YouTube all at once. You're doing what many people want to do with impressive quality at that. What are your methods / secrets to stay so productive and consistent? How do you manage your time? Great work, man. I believe that you'll have much more viewers soon. Thank you very much. Basically do nothing else. That's really the secret behind this. This is my full-time job. This is what I do all day. And I've wanted to make a video that's like a day in the life for a long time now, but I'm waiting until I finish this first chapter that I'm doing to do that, because obviously, you know, I'm thinking in the business mindset, right? Like I want people to watch the day in the life and then go and read the chapter. So it wouldn't really make sense to make that video before that's out, right? So I'm waiting to finish the chapter first before I do that. And I think that'll explain a lot of what you're saying in your question here. You'll get to see how I actually do this. But yeah, it is really... I think for one, you have to be like super committed to what you're doing, and like you really just have to believe in yourself to go all in on it, because running a series as your main job is incredibly difficult. It's a lot harder than it seems. For you guys, you only see the content that I push out. And sometimes you see a little bit of behind the scenes. I'm pretty good at showing stuff like that in my tutorials or whatever on Instagram and stuff. But what is not shown on YouTube is the actual like sheer amount of work that goes into every single one of these videos and chapters and things that are posted. So, you know, I'm not going to sit here like an influencer that's like, I wake up at 4 a.m. every single day and I grind until the sun sets and I got 2 hours of sleep. Like, that's not what it is. That's not what it is at all. You know, I am a night owl. I am like almost nocturnal. I pretty much go to bed at like 4 in the morning every single night, and I wake up at like 1 p.m., 12, you know, in the afternoon or whatever. But in that window from whenever I wake up and when I go to bed, like I am nonstop working on something related to YouTube music or this manga. It's very rare that I go a day without working on the project. And of course, again, not in a bragging way, not trying to make me seem like I'm better than everyone else out there. That's not what I mean. It's just more of like, I really am very passionate about this work, and I really want it to, you know, reach the audience that it's meant for and to get it out there to the world. And in order to do that, like, you have to work on it all the time. So, you know, people who are professional mangaka or, you know, get their anime, have their band, whatever it is that is on the world stage, like, these people put a lot of work in behind the scenes. And hopefully, as me hosting this little podcast thing, you can learn a little bit more about that, because it really is a lot of work. Now, I know my channel isn't huge or anything like that. It's got like, what are we at now? I think we just hit 7,600 subscribers, which again, thank you very much. It's not the biggest channel in the world, but even for a channel of my size, like, it's an insane amount of work that's being put in. The latest lyric video I posted took me about 4 days nonstop to make that. So that's about, I don't know, maybe 40 to 50 hours it took me to make that video. The song itself took us like literally 2 months to write that song. And this is something I don't think I've ever talked about, but me and Yui had to re-record those vocals like 3 or 4 times to get that right, because it just wasn't really sounding like the way we envisioned it. And the actual recording of the song itself, I think, went through like 5 different versions. So I literally completed 4 entire songs and didn't like them before we ended on the final version that you guys hear. So these are all things that happen with the production that you guys don't usually see. So if it seems like it takes me a while to get videos out, or the chapters take a while to get out, or there's like long windows in between when songs are released and stuff, that's essentially why. Is because usually there's a lot of retakes, a lot of moving pieces behind the scenes, funding and pricing and stuff, like having to pay for these things. Like, it is really a lot of stuff. So it does take a while to get stuff out, but I do try my best to at least get something out every week. I've been pretty good about hitting that. I don't think I've missed a week yet in a very long time. So yeah. So what are my methods and secrets to staying so productive and consistent? This is the hard thing, which is going to go back to how I man, I can't speak right now. I'm going to go back to how I introduced this question when you asked it, which is you really have to love what you're doing to make it work. You really, really do. Like, this manga has consumed my life. It is really all I think about. And you have to treat it from a perspective of you're not the only one that's going to read it, if that makes sense. I know that's quite strange, but it's really difficult to work on something if you don't consider the entire picture. So, like, if I'm just thinking about it from my shoes, like, this is a lot of work for me, you know, whatever it is, like, if I'm selfishly thinking about it, that's the way I'll put it. Like, you miss out on the aspects that there are other people that want to read your story. You know, maybe not in the beginning of your manga, like maybe you're struggling to find viewers and whatnot, but I want to make things clear, like, that's okay if you're struggling to find people to grasp onto your project or your story in the beginning, because that happens to everybody. I went through like 10 different YouTube channels before I made one that finally attracted viewers. You know, this is something we all go through. And of course, as I'm sure you can tell, I'm not a full-grown adult, but I'm 26, going on 27 now. So I am an adult, and I've been making YouTube videos for a long time. And all of that experience really helped with making manga and learning how to properly manage your time when it comes to a channel and stuff. And, you know, I don't want to talk about YouTube too much on my channels, but in terms of staying productive and consistent, especially with manga and music and YouTube at the same time, like, you really just have to love what you're doing. And I love making music. I love drawing. I love story writing and, you know, sharing what these characters are going to be like. And I really wanted this story to be something that people could grasp onto. And so I think that really motivates me to continue working on it, and seeing your guys' comments and your reactions to the chapters and the songs, like, it is really a big motivating factor. So for people who don't experience that, try to think about, how do I get there, right? How do I get people to become invested in this project, and what can I do to help them become invested? Because that's going to give you more motivation to keep producing and whatnot. But yeah, it's definitely like, you have to stick through the hard days. There's going to be hard days. I mean, I'm human too, right? I go through tough days where my head hurts. I've got headaches. I can't think of anything. And you just got to push through those days. And when you're having a bad day like that, you know, it's okay to take a day off every now and then, but you also got to push through those tough days too, because those are what the people who have gotten their anime or gotten their serialized manga, or their band has thousands and thousands of followers, like, they have pushed through those tough days. So it's important to remember that. So that's how I would say I stay productive and consistent. And how do I manage my time? I don't manage my time at all. I'm terrible with time management. I basically just work on whatever I'm feeling that day, and I try not to force it. So I know I just said to work through the tough days, but it's a different type of work through that day than forcing yourself through the day. I don't force myself through days. Like, if I truly don't have it that day, then I'll just, you know, do something else. But most of the time it's like, you know, I feel like working on manga today. I'll work on the manga. And then the next day, I heard an idea with music, and I'm like, you know what? I really feel like working on making a new song today, and then I'll work on that. So that's kind of how it goes. Quinceañera. Hi, love your story. Very much reminds me of Bocchi without being a direct knockoff. Question. I'm working on animation and eventually hoping to do it full time. Would you be open to a collaboration / fan animation shorts for chapters? At this current time, I'm not taking any work requests for Maxed Out. It is purely like an invite only type of thing. So if there's anyone that's going to work on it, I will reach out to them first, mostly because at this point in time, I can pretty much handle the entire pipeline myself, since, you know, the only thing I could see needing a massive team for is like an anime. But that's something that's going to be professionally taken care of by a studio and not by an indie team or by me or anything like that. That's something that will come many, 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 many years down the line, I imagine, if this manga ever even makes it that far. Getting an anime is a really challenging thing, so that's not something I'm going to worry about too much right now. But really the only reason I needed a voice actor so early, which is why Yui Katsuragi joined us, was because of the fact that this is like a manga about a band and I'm writing music for it. So that's why there's a singer / voice actor so early, because I needed that voice. Like, I can't do it without the voice, you know? I'm sure that makes sense to you. Like, there would be no real maxed out band unless I had that voice. So that's the only reason that's there now. But for like the other characters, for like Reina and Heki and stuff, like, you know, I'm not worried about voices for them right now. That's something that will be taken care of down the line. As for animators and manga assistants, like, the manga isn't really that intensive right now to where I need assistance. Like, it's not serialized under a magazine or anything. So, you know, it's just not something that, and of course you have to pay these people as well. And that adds up and gets very expensive very quickly. So I'm not really in a position where I need assistance right now. And for animations, I don't really plan on doing any animations right now for Maxed Out, because I simply just do not have the time for it. And, you know, I've got a very specific vision for this story. So that's why it's kind of like an invite only thing, I would imagine, in the sense of like, you know, I'm seeking out the people who I think would be right for the type of job or scenario that I'm looking for, and if I need that produced and made, then I will reach out to them during that time. But right now I don't have anything planned for any animations and stuff. So hopefully that answers your question. Thank you for asking, by the way. I appreciate your willingness to help. That does not go unnoticed. Definitely very kind of you to offer. Okay, so I'm going to open up this notepad now, because there were some things I wanted to talk about, which is, I'm going to talk about Riptide first, which is the new song. And I'm really, really excited to share this song, because I felt like I improved a lot with this one, but something weird happened with it, which was, so this was a whole dilemma that happened. So recently my audio interface just like broke on my computer for no reason. Like, I had a Windows update and it just decided to tank my PC, and just all of my audio drivers completely broke. All of my recording inputs just stopped working, and there was just like this huge latency. And so I had to reinstall all the drivers, and I got the audio interface to work again. But the problem was, now the headphones that I was using don't work with the audio interface anymore. Someone explain that to me. I don't know how that's even possible, but that's just what happened. So I had to buy a new pair of headphones, and those ended up actually working. So I got Sennheiser. Is that how you say it? Sennheiser, right? I got Sennheiser 599s HD or whatever. They're like the beige ones. And I was really excited to try these out. I got them for a really good deal. And I was like, okay, you know, I've wanted a nice pair of headphones for a while. I cannot believe I am a professional audio engineer and I didn't know the difference between open back and closed back headphones. Like, I'm just a complete idiot. It's so obvious what that is and what that means. And for the longest time, I've had closed back headphones, and I mix all of my tracks on closed back headphones. And this time I bought the 599s, which are open back headphones. And so what that means is essentially the ear muffs around the headphones have a mesh that's open on them, so that the acoustics of the outside room that you're in factor into the sound that's being played into your ear. Whereas a closed back headphones, like the ear piece is closed, so the outside acoustics don't affect the sound coming in, if that makes sense. So it's like, if you're wearing open back headphones, you can hear the room around you. That's basically the way to explain it. And so I bought open back headphones, and they're really comfortable, and they sit on my head just fine. And like, I don't have an issue with it in that aspect, but I can't tell if I like the sound or not. I've had them for about a week now, and I've mixed a few songs on them, and it sounds different, but I can't decide if it sounds worse or better. Like, I feel like I hear the guitars better now, and they're much clearer, but they also sound really, really sharp, and the bass is much less. Like, it's harder to hear the bass in the headphones, whereas the closed back, like, you don't hear the guitars as much, but the bass is much more present and much stronger. And I originally thought with the closed back headphones I had that I achieved like a really solid professional mix, but now I hear them in the open back headphones and they sound like complete doo-doo. So I can't tell if it's just the headphones. I mean, I always check and listen to the songs through my phone to see what it would sound like for someone that just like stumbles across it on their phone. You know, this is really important mixing advice. If you even made it this far into the episode, great mixing advice here. Always triple check and quadruple check what it sounds like on different audio devices. Check it on your phone, check it on like Apple headphones, check it on cheap headphones, check it on your proper headphones. See what the song sounds like in every type of audio environment. That's really going to help you make a better judgment of a good mix. And so that's why I started listening to my songs in these 599s on these Sennheisers, and I'm like, what the hell? Like, this sounds totally different to what it was like on the closed back. So I'm still getting used to it, but I actually think like maybe in the long run, these are going to be better headphones to use. But I'm just not sure yet. So I'm really struggling with understanding whether or not I like these headphones. And so Riptide suffered from this. Like I listened to Riptide on these new headphones, and I don't know if you guys think this, you can let me know in the comments, but the song just sounds like really sharp. Like, it just really hurts my ears around the 4K hertz range, 8K hertz range. And that was just not something that was a thing on the closed back headphones. Like, I couldn't even hear that range. Like, obviously I can hear that range in those headphones, but I couldn't hear it in the way that I'm hearing it through these headphones, if that makes sense. So I don't know if it's just these headphones that are doing that, but yeah, just something to mention. So now that Riptide is out, for my next song, I am paying a little bit more attention to the higher frequencies and trying to tune them out a little bit and making the guitars a little cleaner and trying to make the songs a little quieter, if that makes sense. Like, I think, funnily enough, like, I think Keisoku Band's songs are music theory wise written very, very well. Like, it's clear that someone who's really skilled at guitar and, you know, just music production wrote those songs. But I actually don't like their mixes all that much. Their mix is quite quiet, but only some of the songs. And I think this is because like a lot of different producers make their songs. It's not one person doing them. Like it's what's the word? Like professionally mixed and produced by different people every time. So you get a little bit of inconsistency with that. But I can never say this right. Someone has to correct me. It has to be Bang Dream, right? It's not Banji Dream. It's Bang Dream. So the My Go songs from Bang Dream are produced really well. So like that's the type of audio level and sound that I'm going for. And so yeah, when I hear the My Go songs through these Sennheiser headphones now, like they sound different to when I was listening to them through the closed back headphones. So for the Strawberry Jam tracks going forward, I think I'm going to try and replicate this My Go type of audio a little bit more, which is like this really it's like pushed to the threshold quite loud, but it's still like enough to where it's not clipping. If that I'm getting really technical now when I'm talking about music here. But it's just got like a really strong mid-range and a really strong low range, and the highs aren't that sharp except for the vocals. The vocals are like mono mixed, like literally directly in the center of the mix, and they're very, very present. So I think I'm going to go for something like that. I'm getting way too technical with the stuff here. So those of you who don't know about music, I'm sorry if I just confuse you. But Anyways, that's enough of talking about Riptide. For some reason, I wrote Forza Horizon 6 on this notepad, and I wanted to talk about that. So I've been playing a lot of Forza Horizon because obviously this new game is centered in Japan, and it's just been a lot of fun. So I've been messing around with that for a while, but I think I've pretty much beat the game and completed almost everything there is to complete. And watching the HoloLive members drive around Forza Horizon 6 was quite funny. Like, there are some of them should never be allowed behind the wheel of a car. just driving off of bridges, crashing into everything imaginable. Like, it's just really, really funny to watch, especially someone who's got a lot of driving and, like, as someone who has a lot of driving and racing experience, seeing them drive is just really, really funny to me. It's just hilarious. Which brought me on the topic of, will Burisuko become a VTuber? This was something I was thinking about for a while. So obviously I have Maki Hoshimoto serving as the mascot of this channel, but I'm not Maki Hoshimoto, right? Burisuko isn't Maki Hoshimoto. She's just the main character of my manga, and it's more Yui plays Maki Hoshimoto and is the voice of that. So I was thinking of like creating a male VTuber model for myself, and I came up with like some ideas of what that would look like. It'd be very tame, nothing crazy, like no eccentric outfits or anything like that. Just something a little more simple that I can record in the OBS overlay. That way I don't have to actually like edit in these chibi pictures every single time, because that takes hours and hours to do that. For those of you who don't know, it takes so long to put those chibis on the video. And again, it's like, I'm a guy, the chibi's a girl. Like, it's just a weird dynamic going on. And I know that this character has kind of taken over my channel, but again, the character is the main character of my manga, right? So it's kind of like I want to separate the two. She's for my manga, and then the channel is like, you know, I want the channel to kind of have its own mascot. So that's something that I have considered, but I still have to learn how to make a VTuber model. I know there's like the live 2D softwares or whatever it's called that you have to use. And of course I can draw the model myself, but then you have to like animate it and stuff and use your phone to like, record your face for the actual model. I think it works something like that. So something I might do, just wanted to mention it, which also segues to Burisuko streaming. So I did want to start streaming, and I don't really know how I'm going to do it, because I'm kind of moving my channel away from tutorials. I've been moving away from that for a long time now. I doubt there's anybody that actually watches my videos these days that was here beforehand, but I used to do music tutorials. That's how my channel kind of got off the ground. But the problem with tutorials is that people don't really stick around for you. So it's not the case for everyone. I'm sure a few of you watch every video, but excuse me. A lot of people will say, I mean, I'm even guilty of doing this. Like, when you're searching how to do something, right? You type on YouTube, you go to your keyboard, you're like, how do I do this in Clip Studio? Or how do I do this in FL Studio? And you find the video that you're looking for, and then you just skip through the video really, really fast so you can figure out what you're trying to do. And then that's it. You never watch a video from that channel again. And that's essentially, you know, what happens with these tutorial channels. And so that's why I've kind of moved away from them, is because there's a very recurring theme that happens, because I obviously have access to all the analytics on my videos, which is where people watch tutorials and they just watch one and then they don't watch anymore. So that's why I've kind of, you know, I haven't really gotten a chance to make any videos and upload them yet, but I really want to move more into like doing fun videos that are centered around art and manga, or even just centered around Maxed Out, like my series, and make it more of a personal thing so that you guys like learn more about me, learn more about, you know, the manga, and not just have it be like me showing you how to do something. Like, I want it to be more of like, I tried drawing famous anime characters or something like that. Like, that's a fun video. And I pick like, I don't know, 5 characters from some popular anime, and I draw them with you guys instead of just a 2-minute YouTube short of here's how to use a brush in Clip Studio, right? Like, that's, yeah, maybe there's some people trying to learn how to use that brush, but they're not going to come back and watch any more videos, right? So this is something I've been working on for a while, and the reason I haven't gotten any of these videos out yet is because they take a little bit more effort to produce. So that's kind of the trade-off. You're putting in more effort, but you're also getting more out of it. So yeah, there's going to be changes to my channel, and that's why I brought up streaming, was because like I'm not sold on. So I've had many YouTube channels before. I am not new to streaming at all. I had some gaming channels where I did streams for quite a while, and so I'm used to streaming. I'm used to doing it. It's just with the Burisuko channel, how do I want to stream? That's what I don't know. Like, do I want to stream games? Do I want to stream me drawing? I don't know if I want to stream me making manga, because that just kind of like spoils the manga, if that makes sense. Like, I want it to be you guys, like when the chapter's released, you see it for the first time. And if I stream manga, like, you know, it's just like you're just going to see the whole thing get made, right? And it's just going to spoil it. So that's why it's like I don't really know if I want to do that. So I'm sure I will find other ways to stream. Like maybe I could stream making illustrations or something. I feel like that's a little bit more doable. And I probably will not do streaming making music, because streaming making music is really difficult. Like making music is extremely tedious. There's a lot of me listening to very loud noises. Like I will 100% forget about the chat. And like it's just kind of, when I make music, like that's my time to get into my flow state of making music, and I don't want any other distractions, if that makes sense. So yeah, but I think if I did stuff like gaming, like you guys could just interact and see a little bit more of me and who I am, and just have it be like a fun environment where we can kind of just chill with each other, and I can just interact with the chat. And you know, it's not something that'll be like, you know, super serious or anything. Like I can just do it for something fun on the side. And I think it could be fun. So that is something that I have considered. Let me know how you feel about that in the comments. I know not that many people watch these episodes, but if that is something you'd like to see, let me know. And of course, you can always watch the streams at a later date as well. You don't have to tune in live. You know, I would just leave them up as like VODs that you could watch. But again, it is a challenging thing I have to think about. So, you know, because I am a little bit protective of my real life identity. So it's like, you know, I'm not overly, like, I don't really care about showing my face that much, but I just prefer not to, because I like having my life outside of the internet, right? Like I like being able to go to the grocery store and not have anyone know who I am there and stuff. So, you know, that's a weird thing to mention, but the reason I bring that up is because, like, even though I want to expand into all these different avenues, like I do still want to hold on to like my life in person as well. So it's like I do want to stream, and I do want to share all of these lovely things with you and make these YouTube videos and have this be my career, but I also want to separate my career from my real life, if that makes sense. Like work and YouTube is work for me, and then my real life is my real life outside of that. I still want to do all the fun things with my life and kind of keep my private life to itself over there as well. So hopefully you guys can understand that aspect of it. Okay, this is going to be a long episode. It's already been 30 minutes and I'm still yapping. So, and I'm only like halfway through the notes. So hopefully you guys were, I don't know, maybe drawing something or working on something today, because this is going to be a long episode here. I think we might hit an hour for this one. So I'm on to the next bullet points here, which is I wrote, why did I redo the maxed out chapters? So I've gotten a lot of comments on Instagram and on YouTube asking where the next chapter is, what happened. And so I figured I would clarify this in its entirety here of why I decided to redo this, because I didn't really do that. So first, I'm going to take a drink from my white monster, because all this talking is making me very thirsty. Oh, man. Okay. So here's what happened. So for those of you who don't know, there's kind of like, I'm going to call it like a pilot of Maxed Out on the internet right now that you can read of the first 3 chapters, which essentially introduces the start of Maxed Out and Maki Hoshimoto and Reina Hayashi as a character, and a little bit of Heki and Kotane, but not too much. Now, I improved a lot at making manga through those first 3 chapters. It was not the first 3 chapters of manga that I ever made, but it was my beginning stages. So by the time the 3rd chapter came around, like, you can just visually see and read that I got better at making manga and storytelling. Like, it's very apparent. The first chapter was a little rough, and the page layouts, like, it was very condensed and squished, and it was a little challenging to read. And I obviously have access to analytics and can see that a lot of people dropped it after the first chapter. So maybe about half of you continued to read to chapters 2 and 3. And I don't really blame anyone, because this was more of a mistake on my part. Like, it was just really as I got better and better as a manga artist, and especially once I started drafting chapter 4, I just kind of realized that my skill set now was so improved to when I made the first chapter that I'm really hindering myself by having that first chapter be what people see for the first time. So to explain that in simpler terms, I care about this manga so much, and I wanted this project to be the quality that I imagined, that I was not happy that what was out there was the first impression people were getting, right? Because I'm better at making videos than I was that manga at the time. So it was kind of like there were these well put together videos, and then people would go and search out the manga, and then the manga was just lackluster in the first chapter, right? So, so I decided to make the tough decision to redo the first 3 chapters and do it right. And in this process, I made sure that I was not only going to redo the first 3 chapters, but that I was also going to submit it to Japanese publishers as well, so that they could review it and give me feedback to improve it even further. I wasn't even concerned about getting it serialized or anything like that. I just wanted real editors to see it so that I could get some feedback on how to improve and make this a successful manga. And so I didn't do that with the first 3 chapters, so that was not a thing. So that was why the redo started, and then I went to actually redoing it, and I actually wrote some bullet points here, so I'm going to read them for you because it's hard for me to think of them in the moment. So I decided to redo it because, one, I felt like I could just do better, which is essentially what I just summarized. And then now we get into the actual technical of like why, like what. Oh man, the drink is making me burp. Okay. All right. Let me take a deep breath for a second. Okay. We're going to go into why I actually decided to redo it, like the specifics of it. So the first thing was I wanted to make it easier to understand, right? So the first 3 chapters are not hard to understand. I don't think that at all. It's just that I wanted to make the story flow better. Like, it was a little choppy, and like, I don't know if you guys feel this, but I definitely feel this when I read through it as the author. It feels like chapters 1, 2, and 3 are their own separate chapters that got squished together instead of one continuous flow happening. Right? So this new version that I've drafted is much more like they segue cleanly into each other, and events happen orderly as they should, and characters are not just like randomly introduced, and like things don't just randomly happen. Like, it is much more meticulously laid out now, but it's also been condensed. So I also wanted to condense the chapters to help make it easier to understand. So the first chapter originally was, I don't know, it was like 20 something pages long. That has been squished into 13 pages. And every chapter is now only 13 pages long, because this fits a much more traditional serialized manga format where manga is usually made at 13 pages per chapter for every month. So chapter 1 now, the new one that's coming out, is only 13 pages long, and it will go like that for the rest of the chapters. I also did this so that it was easier for me to produce each month, because 13 chapters means I only have to do about 1 page per every 2 days, which is a lot easier to manage. Also the tonal shift, like, one of the questions that you guys left on this video was that it feels like Bocchi the Rock, but it's not a direct knockoff. So I'm obviously very aware of Bocchi the Rock and didn't want this to, because this genre of music, like Bocchi the Rock, is basically the pillar of that, right? I think you would go as far to say it's like Bocchi the Rock is at the top, and then K-On! Is probably right there, even though it's not really like, K-On's about music, but it's not really about music. How do I explain that? I'm going to go on a tangent here. It's like K-On! Is definitely about music. I'm not saying it's not about music, but it's more about like friendship and the journey of like being young and going through high school and making memories than it is about like music. You know what I mean? A show like, for example, Sound Euphonium or Hibike Euphonium, however you want to say it, like that's a show that's truly about music, like through and through. And Bocchi the Rock is pretty about music, but it's more about like showing how music helps this teenager like mold into who she is, right? And Maxed Out kind of takes that approach as well. Like I would say Maxed Out is more about music than Bocchi the Rock is. But one of the confusing things about the first 3 chapters is that Maki is like Bocchi, which is not true. Maki is a very different character than from who Hitori is as a character. Like, Hitori is like socially anxious, right? And just very, like, she's a really funny character. Maki is more of a character that's like not necessarily socially anxious, but someone that feels rejected from society, if you will. Like, she doesn't know why she feels rejected from society and has kind of like shut herself off from the world because of that. And I feel like those first 3 chapters that I put out didn't really do a good job at showcasing that, and I wanted to make that more clear in this new version. So this new version really builds off of this character feeling like she's rejected from the world, like nobody wants to be friends with her, nobody wants to like her for whatever reason, and she can't figure out why that is. And because of that, she doesn't know what she wants to do with her life. That's essentially the entire plot of the manga that I was going for. And I feel like I didn't do a good job at showcasing that in the first 3 chapters. So, this new version really cuts down on the visual gags and stuff to kind of make that more apparent and to break away from that Bocchi the Rock mold that a lot of people were comparing it to, which there's nothing wrong with that at all. Like, if anything, I take that as a compliment that you guys see such like Bocchi the Rock is a very high quality work, and the fact that you guys are comparing my story to that is I'm very humbled by that. Like, I don't think my story is anywhere near as good as Bocchi the Rock, but that I would say, this is what I would say to that, is like Bocchi the Rock is a very funky, it's a really funky anime. Like, it's just an absolutely bizarre anime. There's a lot of crazy visual gags in there. The manga is a little bit more tame. I don't know how many of you have read the manga all the way through. I have. It's very much it's more tame than the anime is. It's not as wacky, and Maxed Out is definitely not on the wacky side of the spectrum when it comes to like the way I envisioned a Maxed Out anime is not the way that Bocchi the Rock was made. Like I envisioned it more like a Kyoto Animation style thing, you know, very cinematic, dramatized, that style of stuff, not a you know, crazy wacky visual gags and stuff like that. So you know, just that part of it, you know, I wanted to make that more clear in this new version, right? I wanted it to match that tone more. And, you know, so I still kept the chibi characters in every now and then because I think they're funny and they're fun to draw and they're cute, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But like, I've just kind of cut back on the ridiculous visual gags and comedic moments. They're still there, right? But you know, it's just not happening as frequently. So I feel like they matter more because it doesn't happen as much. Okay. Oh yeah, the art was a big thing, right? So my art improved a lot, and just the characters, like the characters have grown into like a new shape as well. A new shape. I don't even know what I was trying to say there. Like the characters have more realistic proportions now. They don't look as much like the characters were quite similar to My Dear Friend Nokotan and Wit Studios' interpretation of those characters, but now the characters kind of have their own style. Like I built them off of 3D models that I made, and their proportions are you know, not really modeled after anything anymore. They're more modeled after the 3D models that I have, if that makes sense. Like they're not taken after existing works, if that makes sense. So, and that is something that's always evolving. Like the character design art is constantly evolving. Even now, like I'm still trying to pinpoint exactly what I want them to look like. I got very close with the most recent versions. Like I do really like the recent versions that I have. I'm just trying to refine it a little bit more. There's a movie that's coming out in October. I think it's either coming out in October or September called To You in the Beyond. It's like Doko Kimi or something, To You in the Beyond. And I really like the character designs from that movie, even though it's not out yet. There's only a few images that have been shared, but that's more like what I was envisioning my characters to look like for this manga. So I might be going for something a little bit more like that in the future. And I might make a video on doing that. So my characters I think are already pretty close to that, honestly. So it's not that much that needs to change, but that character design style, I think, is what I'm going to be going for. So this new chapter and these new chapters does that a lot better. The characters look more unique, I'd say, to the Maxed Out style. So yeah, I have this in the bullet points. I'm just reading off of them, but yeah, I just wanted to align this new version with that vision better. So that was one of the main reasons why I redid it. And this is one thing we talked about in the beginning of this episode, which is I value the characters more and I want to represent them more clearly. Like, I understand who Maki Hoshimoto is as a character very well now. Like, she's been in my life for 2 years. I'm talking about her like she's a real person, right? I understand who she is as a character. And so I want that to be more clear to you guys when you read it. I want you to understand who she is. And I really love this last bullet point because this is going to build off of that. The same goes for Reina, Heki, and Kotane's characters, and even Mr. Hayashi, the store owner, as the characters, and all of the other characters that are going to be introduced. I wanted it to be less of a this is a funny music manga and more of a I really feel like I'm living through Maki Hoshimoto's life. So that's the main reason why I did this redo. Because I want you to pick up this manga and I really want you to feel like you are living through this girl's life. Like you are completely immersed in this girl's world of traveling through this journey of learning what it means to create music and have it shape her life. And I feel like that first version in the first 3 chapters didn't hook you in right away from that. And I really want these next 3 chapters that I'm going to redo. The first one's almost done, and I think it does this much better. I really want you to feel like you know who this character is. Like you meet her for the first time in this chapter and you understand immediately, oh, okay, yeah, I see it now. I see what this girl's going through. Okay, I see what she's doing now, right? I can follow what's happening much more. Like I want to see how she gets out of this. I want to see how she builds off of this without spoiling everything, right? Like I don't want to spoil everything in the first chapter, but I want it to be more apparent of what's happening. So I've put a lot of thought into the images and very subtle words. So I'm not explaining too much in this chapter. It's more of like I'm just letting the images and the scenarios and the way that the characters are replying to each other do the talking and carry that narrative more than actually explaining it to you. I'm going to trust that you guys, the readers, can interpret what's going on just by reading the chapter and not me having to spell it out for you. So that is something that comes with maturity as a story writer and not something that I had when I made the first 3 chapters. So now that I have that trait, I can trust you guys to pick up on what's going on a little bit more just through my ability to share the images and the story. So, yeah, I really, really, really value that whole phrase of wanting you to feel like you're living through the life of Maki Hoshimoto. So I've put a lot of effort and thought into this new version of the manga to really make you feel like you're living in this town, you're living with these characters, and that I want you to come out of reading this manga feeling like those characters were real people that you knew. That's what I'm aiming for, because I think that's what really, really good anime stories and manga do. They make you feel like these are real people that exist. And in a way, they kind of are, because they're my interpretation of scenarios that I went through, right? So in a way, it's like based off of real events that happened to me without it being about me, right? It's not an autobiography. It's not a story about me. It's a story that I came up with myself in my head with characters that I created, right? But the scenarios and things that happened are experiences that I went through that I learned from, right? So I think that's what really helps make characters feel real. So I really, really wanted to get that part right with this new version of the manga. So that's why I decided to redo it, for those of you who were wondering. That was really, really long. Yeah, I'm almost up to an hour now on this episode. So there is one more thing I wanted to talk about before I end this. I'm sorry that this episode is so long. If you guys had stuff to do or you're just like drawing in the background, this is just such a long episode. I watched an awesome video the other day, and I really wanted to talk about it because it was just awesome. Like, it was just such a good video. So there's a new YouTube channel that's been launched by Kodansha. So for those of you who don't know, Kodansha is a manga publisher in Japan, and they often they just publish manga. They have plenty of anime titles that have come from their manga process, whatever you want to call it. Manga releases, I think, is a better way to say that. And I watched this video, and it was talking about like what manga editors look for in signing a manga, and there was so many great points in there, which are all things that I've indirectly have been focusing on, which is why I found it so interesting. And I really wanted to talk about it here just for a little bit. So I highly recommend you go and watch this video. It is in Japanese only, but there are English subtitles. So it's about 30 minutes long. It's a long watch, but it was really, really helpful for me as an author. So I think if there are manga authors or creators that listen to this podcast that I'm making, this is a great video for you to watch. I think it's really going to help you. So I will link it in the description if you want to watch it. But one thing they mentioned is, this is something that I've talked about a lot, which is the one thing they look for the most when taking submissions is the story is valued more than the art ability. But they phrased it in a way of like, they don't not value the art ability. They absolutely value the art ability, but they're looking for stories that make you not want to put the manga down. Like if they get a submission and they see a story that is just like genuinely so intriguing and they want to know more about these characters, those are the type of authors that they reach out to and assign an editor, because it really is that important. And the reason I bring that up is because I've talked about this so much and I've been called wrong on this on Instagram many times, but it really is true. Even then, like, I'm kind of like a living example of this. I always try to remain humble in these scenarios. I don't think I'm an amazing mangaka, right? I don't think I have that much talent. I've been making music for a really, really long time, so I have that skill set kind of burned into me already. Drawing is something I recently picked up in the last 5 years or so, right? So, that's something that I've been working at for a while now, so it's not necessarily talent. So, in this case, that's why I say, like, even you can look at me for an example. Like, I think it's clear that people resonate with Maxed Out for one reason or another. They like this story. They're attracted to it. And, I'm very thankful that you guys are resonating with it as much as I intended for it to do that. Like, I really wanted this to hit the right audience, and I'm glad that it seems like it is. And because of that, you can look at it and from that point that we brought up, and it's like, this is a living example of that. I can't draw that well, right? Like I am not that good of an illustrator or a manga artist. My drawings are subpar at best, right? My drawings are not on the level of a professional mangaka, but the story and the world of Maxed Out is intriguing enough to people that they come back to read it. And they follow my journey, right? And, they want to support me for who I am. And I'm so grateful for that. And what these editors are talking about is that type of scenario where a story intrigues people for what it is and not necessarily the art presentation of it. Like, you could have the craziest looking, like, most insane art manga ever, but if the story is boring, people aren't going to read it, right? Like, they're just going to put it down. It takes 2 seconds to close a book and put it back on a shelf, right? Or close a tab that you're doing. But if something is just really so intriguing, like, I'm not going to say my manga is the most intriguing thing in the world, right? Because I don't think it is. I think there's other manga out there that are much more of an intriguing concept than mine is. But, it would be ignorant to admit that this project in general, Maxed Out, is a bit of an odd situation, right? Very rarely I think there's maybe a couple other people who have done it before, but, I really don't think anyone has done it in the way that I'm doing it, where a mangaka is the band at the same time. I don't think that's ever happened before. So that's a very, like, strange thing, right? Like, if I heard that, I would be like, what? This mangaka is the band at the same time? Like, what are we doing here? What are we talking about? And that's one of the most intriguing things about this project, right? And that's what these editors are talking about. Like, when a series or story is submitted, is so abstract, but in an attractive way, right? It's not like such an oddball idea that it's like, this has never been done before, but nobody wants to see it, right? That's not what they're looking for. It's more of like a, whoa, that is really interesting. That is really unique. Like, I have to know more about this. I have to see more about this. Like, this really stands out. And, someone like being a mangaka about a band, but also making the music for a band, like, I feel like this falls in that type of scenario, right? It's something that you just don't come across every single day because it takes years of experience to gather that skill set. And, I'm not saying I'm the only one that's ever to make music and manga at the same time. I'm sure there are many people who do that. But again, I don't want to misinterpret it as like, you know, this manga isn't one of those things where you read the manga and the music plays at the same time, right? That's been done a few times before now. You know, this is like, it's like two completely separate entities existing at once. Like the manga is the band and I make the manga and I make the band, if that makes sense. Like it's just a weird kind of crossover that I think would definitely catch attention from editors because of just how strange it is, right? Like it's just not something you come across every day. And that's why I wanted to talk about that point, because you guys can do something like that too. And they mentioned this because I want you guys to use me as an example. You can also achieve these type of things. Like you can catch an editor's attention like that. For example, like maybe you loved playing sports growing up and you wanted to write a sports manga. So I'm going to use an example like you were a professional basketball player, right? Not many people have the chance to become a professional basketball player, but say you were a professional basketball player in your past and then you picked up drawing after you retired and you decided to write a manga about becoming a professional basketball player. That is something that only you could do with insane accuracy because you went through that path, right? So that's what they're talking about, is stories, and the general idea of the story is so much more attractive than the art ability because you as a person can experience something only you could go through. So you can write it from your point of view. Whereas, you know, if you just take a general idea like a high school romance comedy, like you're automatically making it harder for yourself because there's so many of them out there, right? So you really have to do something to make it stand out. Excuse me, I'm still burping. So yeah, I really, really love that point because, you know, that is something that's very relevant to what I'm working on. So I thought that was quite interesting. Again, I just feel the need to cut in because I'm like making myself shake when I'm talking because am I bragging? Please let me know in the comments if I feel like I'm bragging, because I don't want to sound like I'm bragging at all, because that's like I'm definitely not trying to come across that way. And I think sometimes I just get really excited about what I'm talking about and it may like come across that way. But it's just because I'm really passionate about this project that I'm working on. So if it sounds like I'm bragging or like I'm trying to make me sound better than you, please let me know, because I'm intentionally not trying to do that. Or like I'm not trying to sound like that. So I'm really, really sorry if I do sound like that, because I'm really not trying to sound like that at all. So, you know, sometimes I can just get in over my head and get really excited about what I'm talking about, and it may come out the wrong way. So I apologize if you did kind of get that impression from me there, because I didn't mean it like that. Okay, so the next one, which kind of goes into what we were already talking about, like they said mangaka are like athletes. They have strengths and weaknesses, and they love to see when certain mangaka build off of those strengths and weaknesses. So I thought this would be a fun thing to answer in my aspect, and it's something that you guys can think about too. Maybe you can like put it in a notepad or something so you have it for later while you're listening to this. What are your strengths and weaknesses when it comes to manga? I would say my strengths are, you know, I think it's okay to highlight your strengths every now and then and recognize what you do well. I think that I have good story writing. I think I know how to write like good characters and make a story like resonate with someone. So I think that's definitely one of my strengths. And I think another strength of mine is being able to condense that into like not have it be fluff, right? So being able to take a really good story and shrink it into a limited amount of pages, right? And cut out all the extra fluff. And then my weaknesses when it comes to manga, I think are definitely my drawing ability and my paneling ability. I don't think I'm the best artist out there. I think there are people who are much more naturally gifted at drawing than I am. And I think my page layouts and my paneling ability are a little stiff and not that incredible. I'm still working on that. But one thing I loved about this video is they said that those type of things don't really factor into the equation for them when picking an up-and-coming manga artist, because they're looking for the potential, not the polish, which you really love to hear that, because they're looking for people who are showing promise that they can mold into what they want, and not essentially someone who already has the entire package figured out. And that's definitely the right approach to take. I mean, same thing goes for sports. Like I've talked about many times how I went through a hockey path and was trying to become a professional hockey player. And that's exactly how it goes in the hockey world. Like scouts don't look for, you know, people who are the greatest player to ever exist, right? Like obviously those natural talents are going to come across every now and then. Like that's just how the world works. You get those prodigies, but 99% of the time, scouts are looking for players who are showing promise and have really good foundations to build off of. And same goes for manga, same goes for music and bands, same goes for anything that you're doing. They're looking for people who have a really strong foundation that they can build off of. And so, yeah, I thought this was quite interesting as well, now that we're on that topic, that they said in this video that they are looking for foreign mangaka even more now. It's something that they're embracing because the foreigners have the ability to tell a story from only their perspective. So of course you have manga that's been traditionally made in Japan for a very long time, and they have that Japanese story flow. But for example, like there are foreigners who go through a foreign life path that's outside of Japan that only that foreigner could write about because that's where they grew up. So I thought that was a really interesting thing. It's kind of funny that I've taken the opposite approach, right? Like I'm a foreigner mangaka, but I'm writing the perspective of a story in Japan, right? So I'm a foreigner writing a story that takes place in Japan, which maybe gives it a unique twist because I'm seeing it through the lens of someone who lives outside of the country. So I'm seeing it from the perspective on the outside, which could give it a unique twist. But again, I've mentioned this many times in my podcast before. I have tried so hard to honor, the Japanese with the story. Like I have not done anything in a way that's like inaccurate to how it would be for them living there. I always try my best to make it like as accurate as it would possibly be, and always triple and quadruple research everything that's been put in. So, just something I thought that was really interesting there. And again, this was just the last point I have on this video. Like, I can't recommend you to watch this video more than enough. Like, it was such a good video to watch. They lastly said, like, an editor looks for a manga that is memorable and sticks with them, and like, it doesn't have to be perfect. Like, it's just so important, and it's really reassuring to hear that like when you submit a manga to these publishers, they're not looking for the greatest work to ever be submitted, right? Like, obviously presentation matters, like you want it to look professional, but the point is it doesn't have to be perfect, right? There can be mistakes in it. Like, that's why editors exist. That's why these publishing companies exist. They're there to help you, not to destroy your work, right? So that was a fear that I had to get over when I was making my first few chapters. Was I was really afraid to submit what I made to them because I was just afraid that it was like so bad they weren't even going to look at it. But eventually, as you get older, you kind of just learn to move past that. And now, if anything, I'm like excited to work with an editor. Like, I want to submit my manga to publishers. Like, I want to see what different perspectives they see with my story, how they interpret characters. I think it would be amazing. So yeah, shout out Kodansha. If you want to sign Maxed Out, hit me up. All jokes aside, though, like, obviously that's a huge undertaking that needs to happen. That is not something that is very easy to do, right? Getting a serialized manga is a tremendous challenge. So anyways, yeah, I really, yeah, okay, this was a great line that I wrote here. If anyone even made it this far, because I'm like almost an hour and 20 minutes into this episode. So for Maxed Out, because this was something they mentioned in this video, and I'm asking this question to you guys, is Maxed Out like that for you? Like, does this project really resonate with you or have some sort of pull to it that makes you think, I need more of this? I'd really love to know that answer from my fans. Because for stories that I really like or anime that I really like, so I think of Bocchi the Rock, Sound Euphonium. Oddly enough, I really enjoy the Shikanoko manga. I've mentioned many times I like Yuri Yuri. For more reasons, I like that story more for comedy reasons. It's just really funny. Not so much the Yuri part of it. But yeah, like, I'm just curious for you guys. Does Maxed Out have that for you? Like, does this project just really intrigue you for some reason? Like, is there something about it that just makes you think every time you see a video about it or every time you see something about the chapter or whatever, like you just have to know more about it? Because I'd be really interested to know about that and why that is. Like, what is it about this story that really intrigues you? From my perspective, I would think it's the fact that it's a band manga about music and the author is also making the music as well. That would be the thing that like intrigues me the most about it. If I saw someone else doing that, I would probably be like, that is the coolest freaking thing in the world. Like, how are they even doing that? Right? So I'm interested to know what you guys think. Like, what about it? What about Maxed Out do you really like? Like, what is pulling you towards it? That would be a great question to read about. I'd love to read your guys' answers to that. So leave them in the comments below. I'd love to know. Yeah, and I'm just repeating more things here. I wrote the same bullet point like 4 times here. So I think I'm just going to end this episode off here. Thank you guys so much for watching this. Yeah, honestly, I'm sorry it took me so long to get this out. I have been working so hard on this chapter. Like, you guys don't understand how much I have been grinding away at this chapter to get this right. Like, I know I mentioned it in the beginning of this video. Like, there's just so many different things that go into the production of this series. It is not just, you know, I make a song in one day and then I make a chapter in like 1 week, right? Like, it is a full-time job, 8+ hours a day, every single day type of thing, with multiple different things being controlled at once. YouTube channels, the band, the manga, like making illustrations, storyboarding things. Like, it is really, really, really challenging. And so if that's why it seems like it takes me a while to make videos or to get stuff out, it's because I'm trying to do all of this at once while not completely, like, you know, destroying myself, right? Like, I still want to have like 1 day to myself a week where I just do nothing and just kind of chill out and, you know, game or whatever. And you know, something I've been trying to work on is like trying to go outside more and trying to be outside more. Like, I spend so much time inside these days working on the computer that I've completely lost that like physical aspect of myself where I was outside playing sports or I was just always doing things with my friends outside. So, you know, I haven't gained any weight or anything like that. I'm still super skinny, but I would, you know, I want to be more active and I want to, you know, just get outside and like go back to playing sports and stuff again, because I like doing that. That's been a big part of my life for a very long time. So I don't want to lose that part of my life. I want to get back into that because it only gets harder as you get older. So, yeah, I think that's it for this video, for this episode. Like, that was such a long episode. So if you made it to the end, congratulations. I guess you're the GOAT for making it this far, because that was a long episode. So that's it for this one. You can expect to see the new chapter in July. You can mark my words on that. It is almost done. I am finishing one more page of characters, and then all the backgrounds are going to be put in, and then it will be published just like that. And I really need to redo the cover, but that should only take me about a day to do that, so it won't take too long. But yeah, so the new version is coming, and I won't be taking a break. I will literally just be like going straight into making the second one. And I'm just going to do that until the first volume ends. So the first volume should be around between 8 and 10 chapters. I haven't really decided yet, but yeah, so that's it for this one. That was a lot of talking. I can't believe I talked for almost an hour. That was crazy. So yeah, thank you guys so much. And I guess that's it for this one. All right, see you guys later.